Good morning, Core Math 2 students. This is your Week 1 Lesson 3, and it's all about parallel lines cut by transversals. So in the past, when we worked with parallel lines being cut by transversals, we were focused on the types of angles that were being made. But this time we are looking at segment lengths instead of angle pairings or congruent angles. So what we're looking at here in example 1 is that we have 3 lines that are parallel to each other. And then there are a couple of transversals that happen to intersect all of those parallel lines. And so with these parallel lines, no matter how far apart they are, they create proportionality because 2 parallel lines are always going to be the same distance away from each other, no matter where we look on that grouping of parallel lines. So this distance happens to be 10. This distance is unknown, it's x. Down below, these 2 parallel lines happen to be a little farther apart, and this length is 12. And over here we have a length of 16. And so the good news is that we can basically treat that middle line almost like it's a line for a proportion. So I'm going to set up 2 ratios that are equal to each other. So the 10 over the 12 is exactly equal to the x over the 16. Because again, these parallel lines are proportional. The 10 and the x connect in the same way the 12 and the 16 connect. So there are a couple of equivalent proportions that you could set up and solve here. So with the 10 over 12 being equal to x over 16, we can solve this and find x by cross-multiplying and dividing. Keeping in mind that we need to start by cross-multiplying the pair that we have and take 10 times 16. That gives us 160. Then divide by the third and final number we have, which is 12, and that's going to tell us exactly what x is. So if I grab my calculator, 160 divided by 12 gives me 13.3 repeating. So let's go ahead and mark that with a repeating decimal sign. Granted, we can also go into the math menu and turn this into a reduced fraction. So we could also write this as 40 over 3. Next up in example 2, the orientation is a little bit different, but the idea is exactly the same. Here we have 3 parallel lines, and any 2 parallel lines always stay the same distance away from each other. So it's setting up ratios and equivalent proportions along these transversals. So if it helps you to kind of turn the paper sideways or turn your head sideways, you can still use that middle parallel line as, well, essentially the fraction bar in setting up the ratios and proportion. So I would set 13 over x, and I would set 8 over 3. So 13 over x is equal to 8 over 3. And once again, cross multiply and divide. So we'll start by taking 13 times 3, that's 39. And divide by the third and final number we have, divide by 8, and that will tell us exactly what x is. So 39 divided by 8 comes out to 4.875. And that's a perfectly good decimal to write down as a final answer. So what if you get kind of turned around or you get confused and you forget about that middle parallel line and you just kind of see it as 8 over 13 equals 3 over x? What would happen if we set 8 over 13 equal to 3 over x? Well, you might see it already. Cross multiply, 13 times 3 is 39, and divide by 8 to get x. We get the exact same answer as we got before. So it's okay. There are multiple ways to set up correct proportions and solve here. So that's it for this video. Head on over to Delta Math and have a great day.